ChatGPT Plus is free for college students through May. Here's the thing. You've got a lot to do between now and then. Studying for finals, writing papers, trying to keep your life on track, and ChatGPT can help with all of it. It can quiz you for your econ exam, make a study guide from your French notes, plan out your meals and study breaks. It can get really specific on how you like to learn. It can even help you come up with ways to stop procrastinating. So from now until summer break, take advantage of all the ways ChatGPT can make your life easier. Restrictions apply.
This is the Roger Stone Show on 77 WABC.
A man who's gone through hell, but he's kept going, and he's smart, and he's strong, and people love him. Not everybody, but people love him and respect him. Roger Stone.
Now, here's Roger Stone.
Welcome back, folks. I'm Roger Stone, and this is the Roger Stone Show at 77 WABC Radio. We are the crown jewel of radio. I want to remind you before the end of the show, yes, I'm going to reveal my own mother's Hungarian stuffed cabbage recipe. It's a complicated recipe, unlike most of the simple recipes that I bring you every weekend. At Margot Katzimatidis' suggestion, I'm working hard on a 77 WABC cookbook of all the best recipes, and that's in the works. So grab a pen and paper and be ready for that a little later in the show. Joining me now is Jesse Binnall. He is a criminal defense attorney. He is a partner in the Binnall Law Group, a graduate of George Mason University, also of the Anton Scalia School of Law at the George Mason University. You've seen him on Fox and elsewhere in the media. He is a very articulate a proponent of freedom and a fair judicial system based in the rule of law, and we are honored to have Jesse with us now.
Thanks so much for having me, Roger.
I really appreciate your doing the show today because what's unfolding in New York City is unlike anything we have ever seen before. Jesse, you've been in some tough legal fights. Before the show, we were talking about your representing a number of the folks who worked for Senator Rand Paul. And in that context, you came across the guy who ended up as the chief prosecutor in my case, a guy by the name of, well, he says it, Jonathan Kravis. Kravis is interesting in that when the FBI in my case admitted in pre-trial motions that they had never inspected the computer servers at the DNC and had relied entirely on CrowdStrike, a third-party independent but partisan IT group, for the assertion that there was evidence that the DNC had been the target of an online hack, of which the government has never produced any evidence whatsoever. Mr. Kravis quickly filed a SIR reply with the court in which he said that they had additional proof that hack took place. At the time, of course, we didn't know that Sean Henry, who was the chairman or the president of CrowdStrike, just happened to be Robert Mueller's deputy at the FBI, had testified under oath to the House Intelligence Committee that his report included no such proof whatsoever. So you've come up against this corrupt prosecutor. Tell me, I guess, off the top, how you feel about this New York trial and the way it's going so far.
Well, Roger, and I think one other just important thing to remember about Jonathan Kravis is who he worked for. When we ran up against him, he was working for Jack Smith. And their office handled that case so poorly that the judge dismissed one of our co-defendants from that case for prosecutorial misconduct because Mr. Kravis and his colleague violated that defendant's Fifth Amendment rights in front of the grand jury. So I agree with everything that you've said, and it's just absolutely preposterous that he was able to represent the United States. It's a stain on our justice system, what they did to you and what he's done to other people. As far as what's going on in New York right now, we see the continued politicalization of our justice system right now, which is absolutely disgusting. We have recusal rules in this country for a reason. I have actually never known a judge ever who has made a political donation when he has been on the bench because he didn't want it to affect his impartiality. Not only did this judge donate to Joe Biden, President Trump's political rival, and then refuse to recuse himself, but of course, as we all know, his daughter is financially interested in his handling of this case, is making money hand over fist over the way that her father is handling this case. And it's not supposed to just be bias itself that requires the judge to recuse himself, but the appearance of bias. We as Americans have a right to know that when a judge gets on the bench, when the judge puts on that black robe and picks up his gavel, at that point he's put aside his personal identity, he's put aside his personal politics, and he's going to dispense justice. He's not going to do politics wearing a bad black dress. But unfortunately, this judge has, I think, quite frankly, one of the biggest stains on American jurisprudence in 250 years, has decided to do politics from the bench, not justice, and that is disgusting.
The other night, about a week ago, I had the opportunity to travel to Venice, Florida for the premiere of General Michael Flynn's biographical new documentary, which is entitled Flynn. I cannot recommend this to people highly enough. You can go to flynnmovie.com to determine where and how you can see it. It was very moving. In fact, it was gut-wrenching, mainly because my wife and I have been through so many of the same things that the Flynn family was put through. But more importantly, it explains not only what was done to General Flynn, who to my mind is one of the greatest American patriots who ever lived, but why it was done. It puts it in context to tell you why it was done. Mike Flynn was essentially slated for destruction because he refused to lie to Congress, because he would not bring his assessment of the dangers of Islamic terrorism in line with others in the intelligence community. And for that reason, he had to be destroyed. General Flynn has a $50 million lawsuit pending against the federal government. Jesse, if I'm correct, you are among the lawyers representing him in that matter. Am I right about that?
Yeah, Roger, you are. I've been proud to represent General Flynn for a few years now, and I was at that Venice premiere, actually sitting right behind you, and you're right about the movie. It's a remarkable movie. This lawsuit is critically important for trying to get some accountability in our justice system, and so we believe that it's a very strong lawsuit to show that this man was railroaded through a justice system where the prosecutors and his original criminal defense attorneys, unfortunately, were not candid with the court when they said that there were no other deals that were part of the plea, something that is always asked in any criminal proceeding. And they did. They tried to leverage General Flynn by threatening his son, and tried to get him to admit to something that he didn't do by them saying, if you don't, we just might throw your son, who just had his own son, so General Flynn's grandson, we might just throw him in prison for a while. And I don't know a parent that could resist the opportunity to save their own child. But I couldn't agree with you more that General Flynn is not only one of the greatest patriots our country has ever produced, he's also just one of the greatest gentlemen that you would ever have the opportunity to meet.
Yeah, he's absolutely a man of honor. You know, it's interesting because he and I were both on trial in the exact same D.C. courthouse, both essentially targeted for destruction by the same people. We'd actually never met because during the Trump reelection campaign, I was under indictment. So was he. We had talked on the phone. We had exchanged text messages. The first time I ever met him was on January 5th. It was about a 15-minute meeting. It was actually in Alex Jones's room. No, it was not a war room at the Willard. If there was a war room at the Willard, neither General Flynn or I know anything about it. We're ever in it. But Alex Jones had a studio set up in one of the rooms at the Willard Hotel. And General Flynn was leaving an interview. I was coming. It's actually the first time we ever met. I saw him one other time on the street, very briefly in that January 5th and 6th period. The claim by some on the internet that Stone and Flynn planned the January 6th riots is outrageous. Neither one of us we weren't involved in the efforts to delay the certification of the electoral vote, other than reading about it, nor were either one of us involved in any of the activities at the Capitol on the 6th. It's a shame that I have to say that, but there's a lot of propaganda information out there. On the Flynn case, Jesse, where will this case ultimately be tried? Should it get to trial?
That's a great question. Yes. So under the statute that we've brought the case under, the Federal Tort Claims Act, we get to bring the case where he lives. And since he lives in Florida, we get to have this case decided in Florida. Now, the government tried to get the case moved back to Washington, D.C. There's, no mystery as to why they would rather have this case litigated in Washington, D.C. rather than Florida, but they failed. And so now we're going to get this case decided in Florida, and specifically in the Tampa Federal Court.
That's encouraging. Somehow I think you're going to get a fairer trial in Tampa than you are in Washington, D.C. Look, lawyers, I've talked to many good attorneys about bringing a lawsuit against the government. They basically told them, because of the unique nature of my very, very clever indictment put together by Andrew Weissman. How do I know that? Well, at 6:11, the FBI stormed my home. At 6:06 in the morning. At 6:11, someone at CNN texted my lawyer, who did not yet know that I had been arrested, told them that I had been arrested. My lawyer said, "Arrested for what?" Whereupon she texted him my entire unsealed indictment, which would not be unsealed until 10:30 that morning by a magistrate in D.C. And the filing that CNN sent had no court markings or timestamps. It did have in the metadata tags the name of the person who wrote it, and therefore the name of the person who leaked it in violation of the law. That would be Andrew Weissman. The leaking of an arrest warrant, but particularly the leaking of a search warrant, is a felony. But the judge in my case could care less. So it is. I've seen the two-tier justice system up close. Jesse, what do you think of the New York trial so far?
Well, I mean, we'll see how things go. Right now, the judge is considering a motion to dismiss from the government, and we're going to let that process play out. And what I will say is that we need to have stronger laws in this country to protect people like General Flynn and you, who have been abused by a weaponized justice system that goes after people for politics. People like Andrew Weissman. Let's not forget that Andrew Weissman also wiped his cell phone when he worked for the Mueller special counsel probe. I think he may have done it more than once, claiming that he just accidentally forgot his password. This is somebody who has put people in jail for destroying government documents, and that's exactly what you do when you wipe a cell phone. This is a man who I truly believe thinks he is above the law, thinks that he is completely untouchable. There needs to be better laws passed for when people go out, prosecutors like Andrew Weissman, and violate people's civil liberties, people like you and people like General Flynn, certainly people like President Trump. There needs to be a better opportunity to have accountability. We can't just rely on the Department of Justice policing itself anymore because they don't do it. And so as a result, you have prosecutors that think that they're above the law. That can't be our future as Americans.
No, actually, going back and look at it, I believe that Mr. Weissman deleted the memories of the phones of 31 Mueller prosecutors right after it was announced that John Durham was going to investigate the origins of the Russian collusion hoax. What amazes me is the way he constantly, both on TV and in op-eds, points to the Enron case as if it is the gold standard of government prosecution, failing to mention that he was unanimously overturned after destroying Arthur Andersen, their accounting firm, and destroying the company, and destroying the lives of those convicted. He was unanimously overturned, and the judge tongue-lashed him for prosecutorial misconduct. Yet he continues to point to the Enron case as if it is some paracon of legal greatness. I wonder if he's delusional.
No, Roger, he's not delusional because here's the thing. He knows how many lives he destroyed, even though he was reversed by the Supreme Court. And so at the end of the day, the process is the punishment. You know that. You've certainly been through that. The process is the punishment. Prosecutors like Andrew Weissman have full understanding of the fact that they can destroy people's lives without having to get a judge or jury to agree that that person is guilty or innocent, and that if it takes going all the way to the Supreme Court and takes years and years to do that, that is untold amount of money that people have to spend and tons of time where their reputation has been destroyed. Andrew Weissman has taken full account of that, which is why we so badly need new laws that allow people like him to be held accountable.
He really starts his career in New York, essentially covering up the murders of Sammy the Bull Gravano. I know a number of families where family members were murdered, but no one was ever brought to justice due to that cover-up. It would be a very colorful book or documentary. Maybe we could call it, I don't know, Pitbull, the most corrupt prosecutor in American history. Maybe that's a project for another day.
Morning decisions. A creamy mocha frappuccino drink? A sweet vanilla? Maybe a smooth caramel? Or that white chocolate mocha? Whichever you choose, delicious coffee awaits. Start your day with bottled Starbucks Frappuccino drinks. Pick up a bottle near you wherever you buy your groceries.
Hank's the family fixer, always with his tool belt. But living with prostate cancer, he needed help. He asked his doctor about Xtandi and enzalutamide. Xtandi 40 milligram tablets treats men with prostate cancer that has spread to other parts of the body and responds to a medical or surgical treatment to lower testosterone. Xtandi may cause serious side effects: seizure, a brain condition called PRESS, allergic reactions, heart disease that can lead to death, falls and bone fractures, swallowing problems, or choking that can lead to death. Stop Xtandi and get medical help at once if your face, tongue, lip, or throat start swelling. Tell your doctor at once if you faint, have a seizure, quickly worsening headache, decreased alertness, confusion, vision problems, chest pain or discomfort, or shortness of breath. Xtandi can cause harm to an unborn baby or miscarriage. Use birth control during and 3 months after Xtandi. Common side effects include muscle and joint pain, feeling unusually tired, hot flashes, constipation, less appetite, diarrhea, high blood pressure, bleeding, falls, fractures, and headache. Talk to your doctor and visit Xtandi.com.
This episode is brought to you by Factor. Optimize your nutrition this year with Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal service. Factor's fresh, never-frozen meals are dietitian-approved, ready to eat in just 2 minutes. Choose from 40 weekly options across 8 dietary preferences, like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, and Keto. Eat smarter at factormeals.com/listen50 and use code listen50 for 50% off, plus free shipping on your first box. Factormeals.com/listen50. Code listen50. Terms and conditions apply.
Home means something different to everyone. But with Rocket Mortgage, home can mean even more. It can mean a college education, taming your high-interest debt, even a renovation. We've made it easier than ever to use your home equity. That home you worked so hard for, now it can work hard for you. Call 800-4ROCKET or visit rocket.com to find out more.
Rocket Mortgage, LLC, licensed in all 50 states, NMLSconsumeraccess.org, number 3030.
Switching, Jesse, if I could, for a moment to the Florida so-called documents case, Special Counsel Robert Hur, who was charged with investigating Joe Biden's illegal retention of classified and top-secret documents, read his report a couple times. He very clearly says that as a vice president and a U.S. senator, Joe Biden willfully retained documents that by law he was not entitled to have. Yet he escapes prosecution because he's old. I mean, seems strange to me. Meanwhile, in the question of Trump, whose lawyers continue to maintain that his actions are shielded by the Presidential Records Act, when the judge even implied that she might allow that consideration in jury instructions, Special Counsel Jack Smith went, pretty crazy. I've never heard of a situation of a prosecutor essentially threatening a judge in one of his filings, but that seems to be what he has done.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And I think that what the government and Jack Smith's office has done here is highlighted the disparity in justice based on your political affiliations, in this case in Florida. And I'll tell you that it's really remarkable that they think that they cannot prosecute Joe Biden but prosecute Donald Trump because effectively they've said because Joe Biden is senile. All the time they actually have recordings with Joe Biden talking about the classified documents, talking about the fact they knew that they were classified with his ghostwriter, despite the fact that even Rob Hur in his report said that there was at one point, in order to have deterrence for future potential defendants, that it wasn't necessary to prosecute Joe Biden because the government was already prosecuting President Trump. I mean, that's just something that hit me over the face when they said, we don't have to prosecute Joe Biden because we're already prosecuting Donald Trump. They are putting the disparity of the American justice system on display for everyone to see. You know, personnel is policy. I know that you know that. And when Merrick Garland appointed Jack Smith, another pit bull who would stop at nothing, certainly not the law and certainly not the facts, in order to pursue Donald Trump based on politics, and gave him an unlimited budget in which he spent millions and millions and millions of taxpayer dollars going after President Trump, and then found meek and mild Special Counsel Hur, who would spend just a little bit of money, do an investigation, have an interview, and then without reaching the full merits of the case, find an excuse to not bring a prosecution. Merrick Garland got exactly what he wanted from this process, and he was able to do it, saying, "Oh, look, we had special counsels looking at both cases," when in reality he knew that there would be a disparity, and that was his intention from go.